any city that is struggling with a monsoon climate it has to respond to a monsoon climate. I don't think Panjim today responds to a monsoon climate. The way Panjim behaves today is as if there are no monsoons, and the monsoons have just arrived, and we don't know what to do. And the difference is the monsoon is a predictable pattern, right? You know exactly when it's going to come. You know exactly what's going to happen. You know when the water is going to be large, small. We know every single thing about it. So the question at hand is, from a planning perspective, what do we do to Panjim? Where do we intervene with Panjim? How do we intervene with Panjim to make sure that the monsoon is a virtue, not a disgrace? And I want to raise 2 points, okay? One, which relates to pedestrian circulation, which is the loss of the arcade. I think Panjim was a city of arcades. We've forgotten this arcade. The bylaws, the rules don't talk about it anymore, so that's one, something to think about. And the second one is flooding. The flooding issue in Panjim is an absolutely solvable problem as far as I am concerned.
So, can you chip in here, Mayor? Because I'm sure that through the smart city and other initiatives of the government, there are some measurable improvements already taking place in Panjim. But if you could share some more thoughts on.
The first problem that we're facing originally, honestly, is that considering all these years, we don't honestly have like a complete drainage map of all of Panjim. So now hopefully we are trying to rectify that. Now under the, say, urban development, now they've hired these consultants now that are going to be actively working with, say, with the city of Panjim in the coming months. So now what these people are going to be doing is they're creating a master plan for Panjim. So we'll consider all aspects. We'll consider your flooding, your economics, and various other issues that we currently have. So now what we've been doing currently is basically piecemeal. For example, now everyone knows that in Miramar, the Stella Marie area floods. Everyone, it's happened for like years. Now currently what we've been doing is now through GSWIDA, we've gotten like a massive drain built that should solve the problem. So now our problem is we don't comprehensively have a plan for the entire city. So what we've been doing is, like I said, we've been handling everything piecemeal. For example, now we have 6 Portuguese drains that run through the entire breadth of the city. Now those were designed to basically handle the entire flow of the city. Out of those 6 drains, 4 of them are just not functional at all. Either buildings have come on top of them, or they've collapsed in, or there are various other issues with that. 2 are functional. So what we plan to do in the coming months is basically open up these areas, do a survey and see what is functional, and start fixing that. So our aim is slowly, over the course of maybe the next couple of years, we'll start addressing each of these issues until we finally get to a point where the city absolutely does not flood. So that's currently what we're working on also now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bobby, you mentioned that you have some very visible and sure-shot solutions to these issues. Can you share some more light on that?
So I can't talk about Panjim unless we study Panjim, but the reason I feel quite confident that we can solve this problem is because there are maps where, we know the locations of the drains. There are very capable civil engineers. I've spoken to some of them actually, with Siddha and others, who know this flooding situation extremely well. There is pretty serious clarity and confidence about what we can begin to do. Of course, this is going to require very serious study, but it's not like we are starting from scratch. The issues are known. The problems are known. So I think we need to, as the mayor said, comprehensively sit down, make this issue a priority, invest money, and really make this happen. That's number one. But the other point I want to make is, when Panjim was first planned by the Portuguese in the 17th century, it was designed extremely intelligently. They knew the monsoons would come and flood the town. I want to call it a town. So what they did is they sloped the city on 2 sides. Half of the water was going down towards the Mandovi River. The other half was going towards Fontainhas on the other side into a swamp. And then there were local parks, jardins, and all the little greens, which were becoming local absorption areas. Okay? So now what has happened is the amount of water has become so extreme that neither does it go on both sides, nor is it able to retain, the volume is so much the parks cannot retain them. So if we can start with the drainage issue, then we can repurpose these greens as well, so that local area flooding can be mitigated. For example, you can take the park around Church Square. You can gently slope the asphalt or the roads on both sides of it, 4 sides of it, so that locally the water, local drainage doesn't happen, local flooding doesn't happen. You can use these pockets of greens, which is being done all over the world. It has been done in Mumbai, it has been done in Delhi. It's called sponge urbanism. You use these parks as sponges to prevent local area drainage. So there are two ways of thinking about it. A large-scale comprehensive investment to make sure the macro issue of water flow is addressed, and small-scale open space enhancement to capture the water locally.
I think Portuguese designed this city in a very, for drainage specifically, in a very nice manner, in a very technical manner. But due to development, so many vagaries occurred. There were footings which came in the drainage itself. Road widening, they constructed drains, but which were not connected to earlier drains. There are so many issues which made drains defunct, means their function got defunct. Now, whatever, there has been a paradigm shift in the rainfall also. The rainfall intensity has increased over the years. I agree with you that infiltration has reduced because of green area, everything, concretization, the runoff is increased. Okay, that's fine. But green sponges will not help infiltration because our groundwater is very high. Just after monsoon, you will get groundwater just about 50 centimeter or even 1 meter below the ground. Whereas just before monsoon, it is almost 8 to 10 meters below the ground. We have got a laterite strata which migration of groundwater takes place very fast. So that is the issue. Third thing what I would like to state is, look, I have been voicing this for long, but one should take a sort of a inventory of all the drains which are actually functional. Inventory means not just where the drain goes, but their size, their slope, because one has to find out how much capacity a drain can carry. Then one has to work out in grids how much water comes from there and how much water a drain can take. And excess water, these are all underground drains. Excess water can be let off by surface drains, additional water. Look, these are the things which one has to do. Then we have got problems like site-specific. About 3/4 of Panjim city drains into the Santinej Nala. The actual problem of Santinej Nala has not been studied deeply. What about the mouth of Santinej Nala? It has been silted up over the years. How are you going to solve that problem? Unless you do AI studies, you do modeling studies, nobody will allow you to just dig a channel right up to Mandovi River, sorry. There are so many other aspects because flat of the slope of Santinej Nala is very flat. There are so many issues which are this. I think Mada area, WID, we had suggested some solution, and I think that is the right solution. Where all the drains they are taken into that lake, and from lake they are pumped out. Because over the years, so many developments and so many issues have cropped up. Mala also, I can tell you, right before that, Panjim was a Khazan land. Basically, before it was developed into the city in somewhere in 17th century. Pato was a Khazan land. Nobody studied the drainage of the actual Khazan land before development of that. Because of that, flooding occurs.
So,
these are some of the issues. I will not.
In fact, Sandeep has touched upon some very.
Yeah, that means Khazan land means tide. Our whole main all the rivulets and these are prone to tidal variations.
So here's. So here.
Yeah, that it creates a afflux. Look, what happens in Santinej Nala was such that during high tides and high precipitation, there used to be a flux, and water used to enter into some low-lying areas, which were like a detention basin. For 6 hours it used to stay, and then after low tide it used to go up. Now all those areas have been developed. One is a parade ground, one is a lake wave colony. There are so many areas which have been developed. I am not against development, but have we thought about what would be the solution? Because in the for our future, we'll have to think about having bypass for this Santinej Nala. No,
So here's my proposition. Mr. Mayor, is it possible to have an immediate task force that where this gentleman is clearly part of the team rather than just a team of foreign consultants?
No, so why I'm saying also now, though, see now, there are these consultants who've been hired to do the master plans for 4-5 cities in Goa. So Ponda is one, Margao, Valpoi, Panjim is going to be the next one that is included. No.
So
What? No, so not like that, not like that. What I'm saying is now, the same consultants are going to be they're going to be speaking to local people who have the expertise also. So if you could I know those architects, if you could personally help with them also, there is nothing like it also. Because they will need the first-hand knowledge that you have to basically solve these issues.
No, in this Rotary Club also, you have got two.
No, but sir, you're there also. It's okay. You spoke the longest, so might as well take you on it. Yeah.
I can clearly see that the reason why we had this discussion is already.
No, I just want to emphasize one thing very important, Mayor. Thank you for saying that. You know, my frustration has been, a lot of plans have been done for Panjim. None of them address this issue, Mr. Nadkarni. None of them. And that is very frustrating. Crores of rupees have been spent.
Vocal in that first you have to tackle the drainage and then think about others. Whereas nobody agrees, they are beautifying, but nobody thinks about the drainage. That is the means opening of gutters will not help. We have to think about thinking out of the box in something.
So, in 1986 or 87, Kirloskar consultants were appointed as consultants by government. I think PWD was
That time
ID was they were appointed, but some plan was drawn, but never implemented further. Neither the reports were published or anything like that.
So there were so many consultants who were appointed. There were webcos.
Yeah, webcos.
So
No,
but they never understood the site issues, site-specific issues.
Nobody came for a real site inspection and
So,
followed it up.
I'm just going to cut here. See, two important points have come up, and let us conclude this point. One was inventory of drains, and that is a very valid point. Taking an inventory of drains and study of the nala, taking the exact levels of the invert levels and how the desilting can be done. These are two independent projects, and we don't know whether the smart city consultants who are coming in are aware that they have to conduct these. So can we write down that, okay, we should take up these two independent projects before we do solutions to the city, right?
I would add one more, that there should be a task force where these two gentlemen and others who have local knowledge of this subject absolutely need to be part of this task force. This cannot be given to foreign consultants alone.
So they can, what these consultants are planning to do is basically hiring consultants from Goa who have the local experience. So they can
just making sure that.
I mean, just to throw another point, is it possible that you could write down some kind of not a wish list, a proper technical summary of what needs to be done? And
may I interrupt here, please?
Yes.
I would like to ask Mr. Mayor one question. Who is the father of this project? You will have hundreds of such consultants, well-meaning people from Goa who would want to help.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, who is responsible for these projects of Panjim? Is it CCP? Is it Urban Development Department? Is it WRD? Is it who? Is it Smart City? Is it
No. So now this thing that is coming up now will be headed under urban development. So now this is aside from smart city.
So Smart City is different?
Urban development.
As of now, it is a separate project.
Going on in each other's house. Let me be very frank and honest about it.
Honestly, I know.
Because that is, what happens is, see, we know at heart you are well-meaning.
Yeah.
You are spending your resources and time with people, experts here. You are getting inputs. As Amit is saying, we are also ready to give inputs. But they are going to be lying in a dustbin over here on a paper carrying dust. That is what is my worry. There are a lot of citizens, well-meaning citizens who want to help for the city of Panjim. But you, as our first citizen of Panjim, should take the lead and saying that I am going to lead my team and you have to listen to me. Because I have a team of experts also. These are professionals who are well-meaning, who are ready to work with you on honorary basis. We don't know any fees.
Yeah.
I don't think
That is-
Mr. Bharde US wants any fees.
Absolutely not. I mean,
So what
this
are
is.
but are they going to be respected?
I'm sure
by
I'm speaking on your behalf.
These consultants who are paid crores of rupees by the government, are they going to get the respect?
See, as of now, what I can tell you honestly is now we've not worked with any of these consultants before. Now I have an understanding of who they are because they are connected to some. See, now Swati, who's head of CII, she has a relationship with them from earlier. Now she says they are very effective at what they do. They have done multiple projects in Bombay and everything, and they have delivered there also. So now what we have the benefit of also now is now our current UD minister is actually making a lot of good initiatives when it comes to every single municipality and with the department in general also. He has already streamlined a lot of procedures for UD and he is bringing down a lot of funding. Whether it comes from the state or it comes from the central government, I know for a fact he has a meeting with the UD minister in Delhi. So now if we have somebody like him who is backing us, there is no reason why none of this cannot work. We have G. Suda who is on the board of Smart City. I am on the board of Smart City also. Now even if Smart City does not want to tackle it, because the Smart City mission is currently over, we cannot add anything to the Smart City mission. Now if G. Suda wants to take it up, see their engineers are very good engineers and they are very hardworking people also. So if they can ensure me that they are very dedicated towards doing the job, there is no reason why I see it cannot work at all. And I think it should work also. And for Panjim, I will be there to coordinate every single thing that happens also.
Is that a lack of coordination?
No, I understand.
Right outside this building.
I understand.
You know, one department has closed one road because the Nala is being built for the last 6 months. There's only one road coming to this whole area and that is being dug by third agency on both sides.
But that is true. That is the biggest difficulty in the government. No, so those are the same difficulties that I face as a mayor also, right? See, I can tell you I want...
We request you, you are our first citizen. We request you, take the lead and stand up for Panjim.
I will.
Stand up for Panjim that this is not allowed. This is my city and we want to beautify it. Sorry,
Yeah.
we want to take care of our city. My citizens are with me, is what you should say. And we are with you. But don't allow too many people to interfere.
All right.
We'll get it done.
We'll end this topic with this promise.
One suggestion. Why don't you have a service done small on every road? Why do you have to take the roads?
So I'll tell you practically what the thing was. So now we had, on a trial basis, when we were supposed to do the universal footpaths, we had taken a small stretch of road. So if we were supposed to do a trial stretch for universal footpaths. Okay, so we were supposed to move all of the ducts into a central line. So now the problem was, say, in a matter of, say, 50 meters, you had 7 or 8 different agencies involved. You had PWD with their water, you had sewage, you had BSNL, you have other telecom companies, you have electricity department wires that need to be moved. So the problem is now what, I'm not saying it cannot be done, but it's an extremely difficult process. And to get the stakeholders involved is also extremely difficult. Now see, this road you're talking about outside now, it's been given to one single contractor. Now that one single contractor is in charge of removing all of the single utilities themselves. So that is why what you're seeing now is happening at an extremely quick pace. So if that is done, or if a single contractor is like a point of contact and he does it himself, there is no reason why it cannot be done. The only problem is now it is very expensive. To cover 5 kilometers of road, it costs you 120 crores. It is that expensive because your cost of moving the lines is 40% of your estimated cost. That is a lot of money. So a problem...
You can charge it to the company whosoever is laying it.
No, the problem government has to pay.
Let the government pay because as it is they are collecting taxes for it. As he rightly said, at some point of time somebody has to pay for it.
No, that is true also.
What happens is every time, every developed country or every city what you see, there are service ducts. Why opening?
See, sir, honestly, I'll tell you. But see, honestly, no, I get. See, I will explain it to you. So now the problem is these ducts have been laid since the 50s and 60s. It's not a problem that happens now during our term.
Like in Bombay, there are service ducts which are laid now, which are not laid, which are not earlier.
I understand, sir. But now to do it is like so 100 crores or 200 crores for 10. It's a very expensive thing, sir.
All right.
Yeah, we can.
We have many more interesting points perhaps that may come in this discussion. So because we know these are pressing issues, right? So we will address them on the right forum. Right now, let us bring this discussion back to what Bobby has probably thought of. And so one point was clearly the flooding issue. And I would still request that those 2 points taken by Sandeep Nadkarni were valid. Sure. Please ensure as a mayor that any consultant who is doing the study for the Nala includes these points. And I would request you to kindly make a 10-pointer suggestion, maybe from Rotary or from your own self, and we could present it to the mayor, which he can in turn present it to the, and you can take lead in this as you, it could be our piece in many ways, yeah?
To conclude this, I would love to have transparency on both sides. I think, first of all, we need input from these experts who have studied this more than anybody else in this room. And the second thing is when you bring your consultant, whoever it is, and I'm sure they're capable, you get this input, let them come up with a solution, but you present that solution in an open forum like this with all these people sitting here and others so that they are completely satisfied and they can ask the right questions before it starts getting implemented. This is the kind of outreach and transparency that we must try to do in Panjim. And if we do it, Mr. Mayor, it's going to make everything much happier and more progressive.
So that being said, I mean, is there any other point that you would want to touch upon today's discussion?
The second big issue in Panjim is mobility. I think we all know this, right? Big issue. So let me just explain what I'm trying to say. This is the story of every historic town. It's not special to Panjim. Historic towns were designed not for cars. Cars did not exist. Panjim was one of them. It was designed with blocks and streets, beautiful buildings, 2 stories. Cars did not exist. So life was good. The first generation of modern architects that came in, who did tall buildings, I'm talking of the Velia building in the late 70s or whenever it was, Junta House, the Kamath Hotel building next to it. These were buildings that were designed with no cars on the site. The bylaws did not even require you to have cars at that time because it was never assumed that the pressure cooker would have so much pressure. This is the normal story of a historic city. But now there comes a moment in the historic city, in the 3rd generation, when every family owns 3 cars. Every child, a teenager owns a car. So we have exceeded the peak value of Panjim, and the problem is a mathematical one. We have limited street space. Half of that street space has to go for parking, we know that. Our streets are narrow and traffic has to flow. The only thing working for Panjim right now is that it is a grid. If Panjim was a dead end going into a hill or something and there was no grid, I think Panjim would have been finished by now. So the flow of traffic is what makes Panjim work today. So the question is, what are potential solutions for this? So I was giving a talk today earlier and I was saying, I think of myself as a doctor of cities. That is the attitude with which I approach my profession. I'm not an artist, I'm a doctor. You can do a diagnosis of a city. You can understand what is wrong with it, and you can prescribe a range of healing solutions. A good doctor will give you a range of opportunities. A doctor will say, I can cut you open right now and heal you in 2 days, but it will have long-term effects. I can give you a change of diet, which you will struggle with for the next 6 months, but it will make your health better for the next 20. The choice is yours, not mine. Okay? So in Panjim, we have a number of solutions. One is we leave Panjim as it is. We let the cars flow, we let the people complain, but Panjim will find a way, just as it's doing now. That's solution number 1. Issue number 2, you do something really progressive. I believe there was a study done, and they can elaborate on it already, that talks about introducing buses and public transportation. I don't know how feasible it is. Will Panjim residents stop driving? What will happen in the monsoons? I don't know. But other countries, other cities in the world have taken public transit, reduced driving, high-quality public transit that is very proximate. You don't have to walk anywhere. Public transit comes right to you, and they have solved this problem. That's solution number 2. Solution number 3 is the invasive one, the aggressive one. You take certain areas of the city and you start designing parking structures. Okay? This will have short-term benefits because your parking space will be there, but in the long term, it will destroy Panjim. We know that. But short term, it will help. So there are a range of solutions. And there's a 4th one, which is smart city. You take technology, you have an app on your phone, which tells you where you're going to find a parking stall. Okay, so there are a number of such solutions that are there. The question is, which one do we choose, and what do we want?
Mobility has always been a very pressing issue for us, and I would like you to share your thoughts on this issue.
So that's also currently what's on one of the proposals for smart city. So now the main idea of the smart city proposal was basically you would have a bus system that ran from from Santa Cruz to Talegaon to Panjim. So the main idea being now, since that is the source, you would generally not even get into your car to get into Panjim in the first place. You would take a bus that say would run every 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it was. It would take you around an outer loop to get to the city. And there would be 2 smaller loops within the city. So if you needed to get, say, 18 June Road, there'll be like a smaller bus service. If you need to get any of the surrounding areas, there'll be another buses also. The bigger ones would be from, say, Talegaon to Panjim. The middle ones would be a smaller route, and then the smallest buses would be like last mile service and everything. So now that is one of the proposals that we have currently. The only problem is I don't know whether people are going to use it or what apprehensions people will have for using it. That's the...
I would, yeah.
I was a part of Smart City earlier, and I had proposed, look, earlier there was city buses plying in throughout the city, where I think most of us, when we are young, used to take that city buses, which were going on both ways, Mada, this main city and all that. Now those stopped, and everybody now has a vehicle, even a car in each house. So basically, just to stop that, I think we should have EVs running, means on both sides of the main city itself. From Talegaon to this, it's not an issue, but through the main city, if you want to reduce the parking. First and foremost, I had suggested that multi-store car parking, which was there, we make all the area besides it as no parking. Then everybody will go inside and start the EVs from that point right into the city on 1 or 2 sides. I think that way, if you start about 10 minutes and people are really, they get a feel of it, I think a lot of people would prefer going by such EVs. And I proposed that, but lastly they did not implement it.
So,
anyway, this was a
suggestions on this are valid. I would request Ashok wanted to have a say on this.
Bobby, how can you make this happy city into a safe city?
No, let this topic be regarding the mobility plan.
No, mobility fine, but I being a firefighter, I want to know that how can this be safe? Well, a happy city is always safe. But in this urban planning, the smart city project, I have not seen any fire hydrant line laid in the city. And if you talk about Pato itself, just imagine a cloud burst in Pato, and the first responder to respond from from the city itself, how much time it will take. And if you have such a beautiful project, what about the the fire hydrants and so on and so forth?
Very well.
And one more last point is, Panjim itself, you should be aware that the firefighters use potable water for firefighting. Do we have raw water for firefighting? That's a question.
Ashok, we'll touch upon this, I promise you. Right now, the discussion is on the mobility plan, and we'll take this point a bit later. Any other idea for the...
Most of the buses, what do you...
Long time back, KPMG has suggested for Baga and Kalapur, you have a car parking in Kandole and one car parking in Baga. Hello. And run tracks. And the frequency, very fast frequency. Why anybody will take a car there in the city?
Yeah.
That can be thought about this place also.
Yeah.
See, the vehicles or the present buses are not very friendly for people to get in and get out. Especially the older or the dependent people. Or the people with a physical difficulty. The buses have to be of that nature.
Yeah, so these buses,
Right.
so the buses that they're providing now are newer buses. So they will take all of this into consideration.
These have all of the buses, whether small or big, should have the same facility.
Understood, sir.
Because unless that is achieved,
There's no point in this.
Within other minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I've been hearing, and especially on the mobility front, we all are talking about we need mobility, right? We need buses, we need EVs. As you said, think out of the box. Why we need them? Why can't we walk? I come from a hill town. You all have heard of Shimla, right? चाहिए ही क्यों? चल के जाओ, लोअर बाजार, मिडिल बाजार, लक्कड़ बाजार, माल रोड, कहीं पे भी कोई गाड़ी नहीं जाती है. Parking karo, चल के जाओ. It will do very good to all of us with the obesity rate the highest in India.
Absolutely.
Is that in Goa, including me, right? तो थोड़ा चलेंगे तो अच्छा ही होगा ना. पार्किंग करो साइड में. वो एक पार्किंग बनाई है जिसको कोई यूज नहीं करता, ऐसी 5-6 और बना दो. Why we need that? Spending crores of rupees only to make sure एक सर्किट रोड बनेगा, फिर उसके ऊपर गाड़ी चलेगी, फिर वो ईवी आएगा, फिर उसकी पार्किंग होगी, फिर उसका लाइसेंस होगा. Go to Shimla. There are multiple parkings. From one parking that used to be when I was a kid, this time when I went there, I'm just back yesterday, right? Day before. There are 11 parkings near the lift, and they're all full. Chal ke jao.
So
That's my thought.
Great thought, by the way. Fantastic thought. But these kind of propository ideas have to be tested. Believe me, I love your idea, by the way. But we have to test it. So my question, let's get to the practicalities, okay? And we can't ask this question. Well, let me finish what I'm saying. What I'm simply pointing out is I love your idea. I think it's very doable. I would support it. I would walk. But well, but there are factors that may contradict it. Exactly. So there's no point in asking the question to this room because we are a small session. But has anybody done a session where you have proposed these kind of thoughts to the public to test what is going on? Well, no, because what I'm saying is, look, the difference is, I can bet you there can be 10 more brilliant ideas coming out of this room today, and 20 more outside. The point is the bridge between effective implementation and all these ideas is outreach. You have to make this transparent to the public. Has anybody tested, has anybody asked the residents of Panjim, will they stop driving? Will they walk?
Will you all go?
See, the reason we...
When there is a luggage, how does one walk? And he is not been able to carry it.
No, say not so extreme of an example. Say just that
See, you have to think about it. You can't just think in isolation that everybody is...
So under what circumstances would you leave your car at home and walk?
See, because there has to be a solution for others also.
No, I'm saying you personally, like in general, like under what circumstances would you leave your car alone to walk?
So in the backdrop of this discussion, mobility issue was pointed as one of the most important topics of the master plan of Panjim when it was initially proposed in 2014. And as a result of it, there was a master plan, a mobility plan proposed for Panjim, and it was adopted by the municipality and the state government. If we can open that master plan, that mobility plan, you will see clearly how the planners of that proposal had planned something for Panjim. That means there is an outer ring road, then there's a loop road, and so the bus loops A, B, C, connecting at every point, and all those, that study is fine. The issue is, most of the people here will not connect with that idea because we all have cars, and maybe we want this mobility plan to be successful because we should be able to get in the cars at the expense of somebody else who may keep their cars on the outskirts of Panjim. So the idea was to keep two large parking lots on the two sides of Panjim, and then you start moving inside. As he says, for me 10 minutes may be long, but if you walk 20 minutes also may not be too long a wait, you know. So it is only a matter, it's a socio-political issue. But for the longest time, we are not sure why the government has not been able to put it to test. Because the cost of it was not detrimental in putting it to test.
So now, that's what I'm saying. We cannot test it now until at least the full system comes into place. So as of now, we still have to wait for a certain part of the tender to be fulfilled.
So are we working on the same master plan that was the mobility plan?
So now, see, even I believe now the future of mobility will be public transport also. We'll reach a stage, see, everyone here will have 2 cars or 3 cars or something like that. It's impossible now. See, our city was designed in like early 18th century. And it's like developed through the years. It was not designed to handle the volume of cars. So now for us to say there's no parking, now obviously there is no parking because the city is not designed to handle this level of parking. It just makes common sense. Now it is not going to change until everybody decides that they are going to take a bus instead of a thing.
Okay, there is a suggestion. There was a proposal because the cost of implementing this system is not very high.
Yes.
What all we need to do on a less traffic area, time of the week, for example, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, we test it out. We say that, okay, we are going to apply 15 of these buses which are part of the master plan. Yeah. And we are going to allow these zones outside as parking lots. Yeah. Because currently the number of cars coming during peak time of the week, maybe say X number of cars, but during Sunday it will be X minus Y. So you are still easy, it's much easier for us to manage that crowd. Test it out, and use the same buses that are plying from the bus stand all the way to the, sorry? The buses that are currently the buses which are plying, implement that plan and see whether it works, because there's zero cost to that. We don't have to build the parking lots that we're talking about right now. We can just create a place, you park here. And those places can be easily identified.
Yeah, sure. That's actually a good idea. No, but I'm saying, if somebody can present me with a plan, I don't mind sitting with the
let that be another point of discussion.
Yeah.
I come from a small place called Kurchade. None of you all require the need to go from here to Kurchade. But every person from Kurchade required to come to Panjim because of statutory government agencies. High Court is here. Their necessity permissions are in Panjim. So when you all are looking at Panjim, you got to look at the whole 39 constituencies feed of vehicles coming here, and also their time. If you look, you got to look at how the time would be, how the students are dropped. 10 o'clock, all the lawyers are running to courts. So there is really a problem. Now, you can't tell me that I'm coming from Kurchade. Now you come and start at 6 o'clock, you stop there. I am so used to going and parking outside the High Court, going inside. My case is at 10 o'clock. Now, this is a problem. What I am talking is a study done of vehicles that are going on the road. Are they from South Goa? Are they from Mapsa? Are they residents of Panjim?
Yes, there is a study to that. That is what I was talking. There is a study, a much detailed study, which was done in the 2014 and 15. Today, the number of cars may have increased from there on, but there is a study to that extent, and I think we should take. Okay, so we are at. Yeah, so we should test this idea maybe on a lean day of the week, and test it for such 5 lean days of the weeks, and see how it works.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So if somebody were to submit a proper plan, where
let us reopen the master plan of
that
Panjim.
Is perfectly fine for me. I have no issue. I will
so let us take this apart from the canal issue. Let us take this mobility plan also, and let us see how we can take it forward. Sure. Yeah. It may not be the best solution, but there is something to it. Sorry? Yeah, I have a copy of it. Yeah.
Hello. Again, we need to give some breathing time for the people also. When we implement some ideas, say we start city buses, I will suddenly stop using my car, I will go for the buses. It will be for 15 days and again it will not be there. I get suffocated. Just look at the hop-up, hop-down bus system. We buy things immediately, but then there is no breathing time for the people to understand the system.
Yeah.
By the time I get acquainted, there are no buses.
Yeah.
So we have to give that proper breathing time for the society also.
So if citizens like it and they feel suffocated with the absence of it, that's a success of that system. So we should then, there's no point not doing it again, right? Okay, so now I don't think your wish list can go on and on, but I think right now let us talk about one project that Bobby had shown, which looked very interesting, which is very measurable and doable. The revitalization of the Pato Plaza, the Pato open space. And that seems to be a very doable project to me. What are your thoughts on this?
No, so Siddha had showed me the plans earlier also.
Oh, good.
And what?
Okay, so the plan for Pato Plaza is very simple. What we've seen is that it's a dead space in the evenings, all over through the evenings after 6 o'clock, or even sometimes in the morning time, part of the parking area is not being used. So if you look at the constituency of how that road network is, you have footpaths on both sides, then you have a one row of parking, then you have a 10-meter wide road, which is a one-way, then you have another parking, then in between there is a block which is only for two-wheeler parking, and then the same system follows on the other road itself. So if we take in the evening times, we remove that parking lot for the two-wheelers, that can be a nice place for people to hang out, where we have some tables, chairs and stuff like that. Just abutting that on both the sides, the parking lot which is there for the four-wheelers, you remove the four-wheeler parking from there and use it for hand carts, food carts and your food trucks. Then the central area becomes a food plaza. It's a very simple project to use that area which is unused in the evening times into a food plaza. You can over on time start working on more development on this by putting in paving stones where there is, you make the entire surface permeable to the rains, to the monsoons. You add some nice trees over there, and I think tree plantation is something that Rotary can easily take it up. So if you give us, there are trees over there, but the tree pits are so small that the trees are never going to grow much higher. So we do a tree plantation, we put up some lights in between, and it can be run as a Sunday night walking food market. We have seen that in Phuket when we had gone recently. The entire old Phuket town was converted into a food market, the entire full stretch of road, which is almost around 1.5 to 2 kilometers long. And the next day morning, it's just like a normal street. So it changes the demographic completely from night to day, and it happens only on Sunday. So why can't we do that on a Sunday, on a trial basis? So say we start on Sunday, every Sunday, and then we can look at maybe every day or every evening.
President, I would say just let us drop the idea of that small tree plantation through Rotary. I feel the Rotary should take the whole project.
Yes, I'm very keen if the mayor is going to give us the permission to do it. Yes, we are surely going to take it up. Yeah. You have to tell.
Oh, sorry. We'd love your support when it comes to this, actually. Because we're hoping that you would act. Because we believe this is like, because Panjim doesn't have anything like, say, if you all went to Phuket, you all saw what it's like. You all saw how the city comes alive in the night. Now, Panjim is like a dying city. Besides that casino belt, there's nothing else that any of us can do in the city. All of us have to head out. So we are hoping that Patawa would be one of those places that every Panjimite can congregate. Like everyone can come there with their families, spend a Saturday night. And if it's successful, you can have it every day. So we can have events there. It'll be like a public space for all of us to get together. And continue to get together for the rest of our lives. So we're hoping we would support us in this.
That's fantastic. So just to add 2 more points there, 2 suggestions. One is, in order to make the project financially successful, I would encourage all of us to think of what exactly the activities are. Because what shouldn't be happening is this shouldn't become a so-called beautification namesake, vending, we go there, we hang out, and in 6 months, the project is bored, everyone's bored. This has to be this has to reap financial benefits. So it can sustain, as I showed, long term. It only gets better. You got to make a lot of money. So all the businessmen, there are many of you wonderful guys sitting here, come together, think of what kind of vendors, what retail, what shops, make this real. Of course, it's temporal. It has to go away the next morning. But we have to think very carefully of what we are bringing. That's one. And the second thing is, we must not forget that the beauty of Pato is also that it is on the creek. It is on the Oren, the Rua de Oren. So there are mangroves there. There's a bridge going above the mangroves. The amount of investment that goes into this project is also an opportunity to call attention to the fact that we also need to think of the creek and what the mangroves mean and all kinds of things. It's all related. So we can't just think of Pato and make it prosperous. There's something else going on there. We should look at it as well.
So I mean, if this really is going to be a Rotary project, I would really like to share this with the audience. I mean, we have to create a team and group and whoever is going to do this project. Everybody is quiet suddenly for this.
So here's what I'll say. I know for a fact that there are some incredibly illustrious people sitting in this audience. They've been around the block. They know Panjim extremely well. They know Goa extremely well. We should hear from them about how feasible such a project may be, what financial strategies we might think about. We may not have solutions today, but we would love to hear from you.
Anyone? Stakeholders.
Obviously, if the CCP is taking the initiative, I think the trade and commerce of the city will definitely support such a project of Pato. Besides NGOs like Rotary can come forward. They can come forward to gather the resources, and I am sure the entire trade and industry of Goa and Panjim in particular will be more than happy to to participate in this project?
No, I'm looking at it from the opposite point of view. I'm looking at it, this is your project and the CCV will be there to help you out with whatever you all need. That is, I'm hoping Rotary takes the lead in starting this initiative. Like, we will give you whatever support you need.
Okay, can I just ask ballpark figure, what are you looking at over here for this project of estimate of starting this up, doing up whatever you are talking about?
For the moment, there is no estimates which have been drawn up. If we look at it, it can be done within just a small amount of money because we are not going to change the entire surface or anything at all. We are just denotifying a parking area in the evening and converting that into a food market. It's only the cost of bringing in the food vendors, the cost of putting in the tables and the chairs, a little bit of decoration so that it creates a nice vibrancy. You bring in some artists from locals who can be just doing a small little music this. At the moment, no. At the moment, no. We just want to bring in the idea that this can be workable and then slowly and steadily start putting in the infrastructure in place.
So ballpark figure of what, 5-10 crores?
Much lower than that maybe. For the beginning.
See, even if we are not asking you to put in that kind of money. See, now if the proposal is successful, say now it ends up being like one of the most popular places to hang out in Goa. Everyone from all over Goa comes here. Now I can pitch that to the government and ask the UDE department for funding. So I'm not asking you all to put in 5 crores or 10 crores. I just
Do you expect Rotary to take the initiative to start
organize.
setting it up?
That is it. That's it. That's all I need.
There you
The
go.
funding part we can look at later once the initiative is successful and if all of us are on board.
Getting the resources, we can work with Goa Chamber to get all the
Wonderful.
Exactly.
industry from.
So that is all we're hoping. We're hoping everyone comes there together and it's just a good time for everybody. Everyone makes money.
All the approvals and getting.
I will handle all of that. I will do all of that. All of that.
And the garbage.
Yeah, that I will do. That I will do.
I think, Mr. President, what you should. Okay, Siddha, we should do is that we should start making a small group of your team and start writing a code, and maybe in phase 1 we are going to do this, phase 2 we are going to do this, and then do's and don'ts should be very, very clearly spelled, and we should also make a projection as to what is the final phase of this project, so the right from stage 1 to stage 10, whatever.
Yeah, so I think we can easily form a group over here because we have architects. We have 3 of us whom I can see, 1 in the crowd and 2 here. There are engineers here. We have the people from the water department. We have the people from fire department. We have the business houses. We have the banking institutions. We have doctors to give us some other guidelines. So we have all in all, we have a good mix. We also have a pollution control with us. So we have everything. So I don't think we are, and if it is backed by the mayor here, then then we have a lot of municipality people here again, including some people from the political parties. So if we have that kind of support, I'm sure we can work out a team and get the things rolling.
So what's going to happen in the first phase is that if we give this job, I'm going into brass tacks right now, because if we go to the government for support, and if they start asking us to build tenders and we'll have to bring in contractors and all those things, then it's going to be a different ball game. So the first phase that you said, if it is not going to cost much, if it is within the sanctionable funds of the mayor or something like that, we could see how we can utilize them very sensibly so that the first few Sundays are done.
Just another thought. I completely agree, and then there should be a phased project and everything. One very important aspect is this is also an incentive to resolve the flooding issue in Pata. So whatever we do, right from the early phase, we have to start looking at what the solution for the flooding issue is. This project will not work if the flooding continues.
And we should, in future, if the corporation starts making money out of this, we should even earmark that this money should only be used for certain projects of the city for improvement of the city, nothing else. The fund will not go anywhere. Any other point that we need to? There you go. We got an economist on the...
There was a question about fire issue. I think we should talk about that.
Yeah, now coming back to the fire. That was a very important point that was considered, because it was brought up by Ashok Menon. And I'm surprised that when we have done the master plan for Panjim, we've not even talked about how we are going to address the fire issue, because already in the past, during the Portuguese Panjim, we had the pipes laid in the ground. I remember those grounds every time I went to school.
When you mentioned about the mobility, the plan was made. And during the smart city, I had proposed this fire hydrant layout and having the raw water from the sewage and then across the Panjim, 18 June Road and so on. And about mobility, whether firefighting vehicle will have a lane, whether ambulance will have a lane.
I think we should take this up because Pato is getting more and more height. Panjim is getting heights more than 30 meters. And he is always complaining that his tallest ladder is only 30 meters, right? 32 meters. And now there are proposals to make 70 meters buildings in Panjim. So I think this is an important point. So with that done, this discussion ends. And we have some important points that we have taken.